in recent European political history, many of which I have been privileged to be a part of. My colleagues, friends and partners in the EPP have stressed to me time and again that individuals who played an important part in politics have a moral responsibility to publish their experiences. The public has the right to know how crucial decisions reached in the past were actually made, since the past produces the present and shapes the future. As politicians, we must remember that we are public servants, elected to office to serve our people and to be accountable for all our actions. We must never forget, as the founding fathers of Europe mentioned on more than one occasion, that we work for the people. Apart from fulfilling this democratic responsibility, I would also like this book to become a pedagogical tool, a document that helps bring politics to life by using examples gained from personal experience to educate future generations. Too often, young people are turned off from political involvement. But we need their idealism, energy, and openness if we are to overcome the challenges facing us. In this respect, I would like to call upon the upcoming generations of Romanians to participate in democratic processes and exercise their democratic rights by political and civil action to express their ambitions and work for a better society. The new generations should avoid the temptations of political nihilism, or even less yield to the temptation of defending their ideals by force. Young people often think outside the box, bringing a much-needed fresh focus to problems. This book is written for the young people whose interest in politics is awakening, and also for those already involved in political life. It covers almost 60 years of Belgian and especially European history, from 1950 to 2008, illuminated through my personal experiences. So much has changed during the 6 decades that my book covers, as the European dream has become a reality based on a shared vision of Europe's role in the world, a continent united in diversity. This new world brought many of us opportunities beyond the wildest dreams of our parents' generation, who faced the destruction and upheaval of a world war. It makes it much harder than ever before in European history for any one country to become a rogue state. There has been lasting reconciliation between the bitterest of enemies and 2 generations of peace. Even though many now take this peace and prosperity for granted, we should not forget that it is born out of blood and toil, built by those with courage and purpose. For me, as a young child growing up, war was a ruinous reality, understood by everybody and feared by all. I am pleased that today in Europe, this is no longer the case. Sword and shall have been replaced by debate and dialogue, as we seek an ever closer European Union to safeguard Europe's cultural diversity and its languages, nations, regions, and minorities. Writing these chapters has been a fascinating journey through my life. Through documents, pictures, and sound bites, I continually faced my pronouncements and opinions from years ago. Even though they may have evolved since, I have nevertheless taken care to reproduce my words and deeds from those days as accurately and as truthfully as possible. By putting into words step by step my life's work, I witnessed how my entire career was dominated by my political engagement. The career of all politicians also contains at times adversity and difficult passages. Those can rekindle motivation and can lead to new successes. Hence the choice of Luctor et Emergo. I struggle, I overcome. The title of my book is the title of the name also of a Dutch province near my birthplace, Sealand. One on the sea, Luctor et Emergo. Dear friends, I have noticed how questions that often occupied me for many years resurface again today and go on dominating the news. But one should never forget that the ground gained by one generation can also easily be lost by the next. Leading Christian democratic politicians like Robert Schuman, Konrad Adenauer, and Alcide de Gasperi laid the foundations for the Treaty of Rome, together creating a Europe based on subsidiarity. As Italy's Alcide de Gasperi stated in 1953, we must seek union only where it is necessary, or rather, where it is essential. By preserving the independence of all that forms the basis of the spiritual, cultural, and political life of each nation, we safeguard the natural basis of our life together. The last 50 years, dear friends, have been our success story. A story which started with the integration of Western Europe and ended in 2004 and 2007 with the final reunification of our continent. Furthermore, more than 35 years ago, when I helped to found the European People's Party, we were engaged in building Europe as an ever closer union, with respect for the diversity of every member state and their regions. We were convinced that without an economic union, Europe would have to relinquish a great deal of its decision-making to third powers, and that without shared sovereignty, Europe would not be politically independent. This unification process was not easy. During the early 80s, we lived through a period of Eurosclerosis. Then in 1985, Commission President Jacques Delors put the integration process back on track and became the driving force for the single market and objective 1992. This relaunch was due to the combined commitment of Helmut Kohl and François Mitterrand. I was amongst them. I look back with nostalgia at this tenacious trio, Delors, Kohl and Mitterrand, who transmitted a powerful European message and were ready to defend this to the outside world, when necessary, even to their own political friends. These were European statesmen who focused on the future needs of Europe and the prosperity of the European people. Europe needs such leaders. Leaders that put European achievements first, instead of using the Union as a scapegoat for unpopular national measures, which perpetuates a continued crisis of confidence. In today's difficult times of economic and financial crisis, it's important to reflect on and seek inspiration from the achievements of the European project. Since 2008, the European Union has been shaken by an unprecedented financial and economic crisis. But it has to remain united and strong. In addition to the difficult economic situation, the European project is under attack from the extremes. Extremists from both the right and the left are deploying populist rhetoric and manipulate tactics which evoke memories from the years prior to the start of the European project. Therefore, all the partners of the European project have, now more than ever, the responsibility to explain and to convince citizens that the European Union is not the problem, as the extremes claim, but a solution. In this respect, the role of the EPP and its member parties will be crucial in reaching out to Europe's citizens. If we truly want to bridge the gap between the European Union and the citizens, the European political parties must take the lead in the democratization and the politicization process of Europe. As Robert Schuman said, on the night of May 1950, Europe will not be made all at once, or according to a single plan. It will be built through concrete achievements. The EPP must and will deliver bigger and better concrete achievements for the benefit of all Europeans. Our aim should be to create an economic union and a political union based on our core values: freedom and responsibility, solidarity, subsidiarity, and sustainability. A union which is more accountable to the voters and offers clearer choices. Our EPP values have been and continue to be crucial in getting Europe back to dynamic growth and prosperous stability. Furthermore, politicization will bring Europe closer to the citizens, demystifying institutional structure through greater transparency and accountability. Just last week, during the EPP Summit of Heads of State and Government, we adopted the declaration on the current economic situation in Europe. The text recognizes that membership in an economic and monetary union brings our economies even closer together. This leads to opportunities for progress, but it also implies additional responsibilities. The growing interdependence of our economies obliges us to adjust our model of economic governance at the European and national levels. The European model of closer cooperation with nation-states sharing sovereignty is the way forward in a globalized world. And as the philosopher Seneca warned 2000 years ago, if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. Today's leaders will quickly become yesterday's men if they fail to act without vision. Dear friends, to conclude, PDL has always shown an unyielding commitment to the European project and to the European People's Party. And I am convinced that you will continue to do so. How important Romania is for the EPP can only be underlined by the fact that the next Congress of the EPP will be held in Bucharest here in October 2012. I am personally very much looking forward to coming back to Romania then. Dear Romanian friends, I wish you the best success in the upcoming local elections, and I trust I will find center-right policies in a strong position of your party for the next elections of your parliament. Thank you for your attention.
Domnule președinte Martens, vă mulțumim pentru această pledoarie pe care ați făcut-o pentru o Europă întemeiată pe valori. Între ele, fără îndoială, solidaritatea este foarte importantă și acum mai mult decât oricând, Partidul Popular European are nevoie de solidaritate, după cum fiecare partid membru al Partidului Popular European are nevoie de solidaritate. Iar prezența familiei europene populare în toamnă la București este o dovadă de solidaritate și credem că va fi de bun augur pentru bătălia politică în care partidul nostru va fi angajat în toamna acestui an, după bătălia politică în care tocmai ne aflăm acum, bătălia pentru alegerile locale. Dacă domnule președinte, vreți să mai ceva? Dacă nu, toți cei care doresc pot să primească un autograf de la domnul președinte Martens. Și dacă aveți întrebări din sală, de asemenea, puteți să puneți întrebări. Sau comentarii. Dacă nu aveți întrebări, puteți... Da, vă rog.
Good evening, my name is Tere Samule, and I have a question for Mr. President. Dear Mr. President, you have constantly championed the values of the right. Could you please tell us nowadays which makes the right values of the right suitable for these days, when there are so many voices speaking that politics are outdated? Could you please tell us that if the politics nowadays came to the end which should be the right ideas that we should use? Do you think that the era of the politics that have been used till today has come to the end? Should we change? Should we use other style of politics?
Vă mulțumesc pentru întrebare. Domnule președinte.
It is clear that the younger generations will be confronted with another political context, a changed political context than we were. My generation comes from a period that education of the youth and leadership in youth movements was a very important aspect, leading in a lot of cases to political commitment and involvement. Today we are living in a world with internet, creating a new type of human person. We live in a world with real progress in technology and in science. And all these elements together make possible that individuals are realizing their world and their life with much more means and possibilities than our generation. The whole question is if this is a guarantee for an harmonious society. And we Christian Democrats, as I said, and the European People's Party as a whole, based on a system of values from freedom, but also responsibility, creating solidarity, and also creating a system of decision-making based on subsidiarity and democracy. So a pluriform society, near to the people, and I am convinced that the society cannot develop in the right way, in a way of justice and human dignity, without realizing these values. And this is the task of cultural organizations, as education, universities, schools, churches, but this is the responsibility of education, of culture. You need also people, persons who are ready to realize also a political decisions and to create the funding and the basis of a just society. And that's the typical responsibility of politicians. It will be more difficult for the upcoming generations to do that, but we need them. We need them, their openness, as I said, their energy to create and to lay the foundations of a just society in which the human dignity is realized. And that is our goal, this is our ideal, our project as a large political family in Europe. And in that sense, we will need also the younger generations, but I am aware that a lot of them will play an important role in other sectors of society. In technology, in science, in education, there are different roles to be fulfilled. But abstention for a political engagement could be extremely dangerous and would give the floor to the extremes on the right and on the left. And so we need what we call a center-right political movement, as the EPP is.
Aveți cuvântul.
Mr. President, welcome to Romania, firstly, and congratulations on your new book. We always hear about, when we talk about Europe, these two words are always coming up, about unification and integration. And I think a very important thing about these two words is, okay, my question is a little bit more specific, is the moving working force. And I've been attending the Chairman's Conference in Yep for 3 weeks ago, and the former IMF director brought up a really interesting sentence, which said, my country is my home, Europe is my workplace. Do you think Europe accomplished that? And if not, which are the steps to get there? Thank you.
Yeah. You used the two terms, unification and integration. I will tell you, I don't like in European discussions the word unification. I am strongly in favor of integration, maintaining, as I said also in my speech, the diversity of culture, languages, and so on and so on. But we need to work together for some competences on the larger scale of Europe. And I fully agree with what you said. I said, Flanders for me is my inspiration, Belgium is my country, and Europe is my future. And I will mention it also in my book. Evidently, your country is important, your region is very important, and we have to be loyal to the different states and nations composing the European Union. But we have to be aware that without working together in the framework of the European Union, we have no chance for the future in a globalized world to maintain the prosperity, the future, the economy, our system of social security, the identity of our languages and of our culture, if we are not able to work together in the European Union. That's the only guarantee in a globalized world. I will not use the figures and compare the population of Europe with population of China or India or other continents, even Brazil, and so on. We have to work together, but not absorbing the member states of the regions. Integrating them. Integrate is a special method, maintaining the identity of the people, the regions, the states, the nations working together in the European Union. In that sense, Europe is our future. And we have to work together if we want to have a future. And especially the new generations working together in the framework of the European Union is the only guarantee for their future.
Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Radu Androni, and I would have two questions for you. You have started your political career as a member of the student organization, and could you tell us what would be your key message for the young PDL representatives, because we are a lot of young members this evening here. And my second question is, what is your vision